When I was a young girl, my family always wanted me to be a musician. So I'm a young girl with my head peeking over the kitchen table, and there was an advertisement on the table in the local newspaper that said, "You can play the accordion too." So my mother decided that I could play the accordion, and she was willing to work every Friday for an accordion dealer and clean their house and buy me an accordion. Well, I was, as a child and as an adult, I was a lot more interested in tearing that accordion apart and sort of reconstructing it rather than playing it. So my accordion series there's many, many layers. One is to, of course, honor my mother for introducing it to me, but also in that art should wash away the dust of everyday life, as Picasso has said, and that an artist's vocation is to send light into the human spirit. My accordion series started out with examining and drawing and studying the accordion again as an adult. And then being a fine arts artist, I carried that study into my imagination. I bring back, or I bring forward, I should say, my 40 years plus of painting experience, and also my imagination. And that imagination and my knowledge of painting is put into the paintings. And I believe artists oftentimes will quit making art because they think, especially in painting, that painting is dead. And I struggled with that in my earlier years. And then I decided that painting has not been done by me. And for me, it's a way that I've gotten through life to make my life and other people's lives richer. So I have a joke almost always, or a visual joke, so to speak, in my accordion pieces, in that 1950 Ford has an accordion engine, and then it has collaged into it also sheets of music. And so it makes me laugh in the studio when I work on those pieces. It's like, where do those ideas come from? Not only from my past, but my sense of humor. I like to use bright colors in my paintings because, first off, I'm an acrylic painter. Second off, my experience with art until I went to college was cartoon art. And of course, the colors are very flat, they're very bright, and so that was my inclination to have those elements in my work. And as you notice, I work more on a flat surface than an easel. One of the reasons I do that is because I like how you as the viewer will see it, but also because nails were a lot cheaper as I painted than an easel. And sometimes you have a choice of paint and bread for food or an easel, and I always chose paint and bread. One of the ways that I will create a background that's interesting is to take a large brush, get it a little wet, and take a darker color to go over this to create a shadow. Now you can see how the bed is kind of, my accordion bed, is kind of pushing back there. And if I want it a little darker, then I can come in next to that line again and work with it there. If I get stuck in my painting, I have a few tricks up my sleeve. One is to do contrasting colors, warm and cool. Others, contrast of shapes, contrasts of texture. And then my own personal approach is I'll oftentimes throw in stick people of my ancestors dancing, because as an artist and as an educator, because I taught for 25 years at Minnesota West Community and Technical College, people would always approach me and say, well, I can't even draw a stick person. And so then I thought, well, if they can't draw a stick person, I can draw a stick person. And because my family is of musical background, and because my mother has passed away, I will draw her dancing, or my ancestors, my grandparents, I don't know. You know, it's just a little ditty I do. It's almost like an EKG line where, or a dance, that if I'm stuck, that will loosen me up so that I'm not so uptight and don't get too putsy with my work. But for me, it's the process of painting and the delight in discovery. And as I work, I want my viewers to also have that process of discovery and delight.